Okay, I'm recording this video. Let's test it out. I am wanting to start a channel that goes over practical uses of AI. So, kind of what do we actually use it for day to day, website creation, game creation, asking questions, what models to use when you want to do a certain thing, and especially with kids. So, I have 4 kids. And also with a wife, scheduling around her work, my work, activities. That's kind of a huge thing in that I feel like it can always evolve, and there's really not a lot of channels that are covering this. So I've been researching AI for the last 3 years, and that has pretty much put me in a position where I'm really pushing it now to help teach my kids about it, as well as the things that can advance or enhance our life. So that's kind of my point in creating this channel and video. I've kind of just done a first trial setup here in my office. Kind of see I do have a nice desktop back here that I'll probably share some things that I do. It's equipped with a 4090, so it can do pretty good stuff, but there might be some other technical videos I'll make where I go into how models behave for doing it locally. Of course, I'll go into all the other tools. I use everything pretty much, so that's another nice thing that I feel like some creators don't do, is use every single different, I'm not saying they all don't, but every single different platform. So ChatGPT I use it, Claude I use it, Google I use it, Copilot I use it. I actually use Copilot heavily in my work. That's the biggest one that I use actually on a day-to-day basis. But then when I get out of my personal life, I'm using some other things. I've got VPS running. I've dabbled with the Hermes agent, OpenClaw, Space Agent. I'm trying to really just use any tool that's out there. I've got some more on the list I need to get to. So I feel like I have a good chance to talk to people and families about how to use AI, what is AI. Of course, it's a big concept. I'll even go into that. I might even start with just some very basic fundamentals. I want to do a video on, like, if I was talking to your kid. I have a kid from all ages, well, under 10, so I have 7 and under, all the way down to 1.5 years old. So obviously I'm not even talking to him yet, but you'll be able to see that transition through the different videos. And I'd like to keep it where here's my intro video, pretty basic. I don't want to have it too flashy. I'll probably talk more. I won't edit a ton. So if you want to watch my videos at 1.25 speed or 1.5 or 2x speed, that's actually typically how I feel like I get a lot of time back in my life. I watch videos sped up. And yeah, so it'll be pretty raw for the most part. If I do an episode on, hey, this is how we, use AI while we're playing a certain game like Pokemon. I've heard of, I believe Dungeons and Dragons some people have made some games. So I don't do every game, but I use it in one certain game, and I feel like all other people might use it in different games. But that should give you some creative thinking to think about, oh, maybe I'll make a custom game for my family or what have you. So, we'll just go into all that kind of stuff. And it might sound like there might not be a lot to cover, but once you truly get into this stuff, there is so much to cover. And that's really what I wanted to make this video about, or this channel. And I can also send my family members here, so I want to go into even some misconceptions about artificial intelligence, models. I can just say, here, go to my video that I talked to about this. So I'd like to title my videos. I'll probably have more shorter videos, if that makes sense. That way I can title them exactly what I'm covering. I'll also like to do like episode 1, 2, 3. So I'll try to have it like numerical too, so you'll know how many have I watched or whatever. I feel like that's one struggle I have with a lot of other people's channels. I may take a break for a week or two, and then I come back and I'm like, have I missed many? What number have I done? So that's something that I'm going to try to do. If I can also enhance playlists, I might do that. So I think that's kind of the starting. Let me take a pause here. I'm going to make sure I have everything set up on my computer. I've never used OBS before, but I'm going to set it up, and I might go into one of my first videos. Might stop this, make a new video on just a very basic level of what I feel like artificial intelligence is, that you can even tell to like a 5-year-old. So still going into a decent amount of details, but not in a super technical way. I guess now I should give some background into what I do and why am I kind of here now. So back in 2023, I was actually a field quality engineer for General Electric appliances, and I would take all this data that people would put comments on what they're having problems with, right? And there was really no machine learning great way to categorize similar meaning, the semantic meaning, but not the exact. Well, when GPT-3 came out, I believe it was 3 that I had the first access to, I started using it to just analyze columns of work and details, and it actually worked pretty well. I was like, okay, this got me to figure out ranking in order what might need more priority, and even if it didn't have the exact words, it might have talked about a lock or the door didn't open, but you might have missed that it was about a lock issue because people said the door didn't open, right? Which could still mean there's a lock issue. So I did that for close to a year. So after I did that, I decided to leave GE. I went to TVA, to the nuclear field. So now I'm a nuclear design engineer, and as soon as I came on board, I realized how much information is in the nuclear field. I mean, it's almost entirely made up of information overload in terms of design, specs, changes, and updates. And a lot of that is all retrievable. A lot of it is not like new technology. I mean, there are some areas like SMRs that are coming out which deal with a lot more new technology, but a lot of changes and updates made to the plants today is a lot of it's just based on what's been done. So when I realized that, I've just been heavily into AI, keep up with the news. I realized all the new capabilities, so I make sure that I'm understanding models correctly, what they can do. And that's where I'm at now. So I also have my professional engineering license, so I am a PE in fluid dynamics and thermodynamics. I got my MBA while I was actually working at GE. So to kind of give you some credentials on why I'm creating this video, somebody might ask, hey, why should I listen to you? I feel like that those are some reasons why I'm a very technical person. I've had numerous amount of experience, and I research these models day in and day out, listen to news. I love watching all the different model updates, papers. I watch a lot of people using tools, even if I'm never going to use it. I mean, I've been doing a lot of the music tools just to mess with it. Like, I just figure out what works, how it works. I think that's what gives me the depth of understanding and knowledge. And yeah, so I'm excited to start a channel, talk about some of these things, give some of this education and knowledge that I've been able to obtain, that I enjoy doing, to a broader audience. Something else that I do want to mention, another reason why I want to start making videos, is I am heavily optimistic about humanoid robots. Of course, I could go on a lot about some of the things that are truly capable for dangerous and security measures, but overall I think it will be a net positive, a net good. And once I can order them, I will definitely be ordering them. I've tried to reach out to several companies to become a consultant, to get some of these robots early so I could be a very technical tester early on, but I haven't heard back. I mean, I've tried to message Tesla, Figure, Boston Dynamics. I know Unitree is Chinese, but they do have some American locations. So again, I'm not really trying to stay focused on one brand. I like to stay very neutral in my thoughts and everything I do. I think a lot of engineers kind of like that. And so if you want to also see along that route, as soon as I can order and pre-order, or if I'm able to partner with one of these companies, I will be definitely making videos of how that works. I mean, it will be some wild stuff. I feel like, the first robot you bring home to your kids and say, all right, kids, this robot's going to try to help make you lunch, or clean up your toys, or help take the trash out. There's going to be so many things. I mean, there's probably going to be one video on how a robot takes the trash out. So I think that'll all be fun, and I think it's all starting now, and I really need to get that started. I've been meaning to make this video, honestly, for over a year. Over a year I thought, yeah, there's going to be some families and people that want to know, okay, great, there's all these tools. How do I know what's the best one, which one to use? How do I explain it to my kids? Some of the best ways that it's being implemented, and also keep up with, okay, if something new comes out, now how do I change it? What does that mean I need to do to my, application that I built for my kids? So that'll even be another video. So I'm gonna pause this in a second. I've been kind of rambling now for the last 5 minutes. But that's something else I'm going to try to incorporate in this video, is what I plan to cover. So kind of some highlight areas, which I kind of already mentioned some, like what is AI, how to talk to AI as a kid, or to a kid. I might do different levels of that. Like I said, I have a 7-year-old, and I might explain it differently to a 4-year-old. I'll go into different games that we've created, how I teach my kids to use it, what it's good for, and then go into some other web apps, applications, what can you build for them, and one of the biggest ones is education. So education, I believe it can be so much more powerful with artificial intelligence, so that you can create custom, individualized lesson plans and materials, and it goes at their pace, and they can move on things that they really enjoy. You can even create things that that they enjoy, but in an educational manner. And then they can move on that, and then they can be helped in areas that they struggle with, and can be, go into that more deeply to get them out of that ability that's, being hard for them to understand. That is one of the core progressions of artificial intelligence that will enable us to be, I think, a smarter people. Some people think, AI is going to make us all stupid. We're all just going to use it, and no one's going to ever think for themselves. So they're just going to ask artificial intelligence. Well, I mean, that's if you want to use it that way. That's not how I would teach you how to use it. I mean, sure, if you think about it, how many times have you ever been in a conversation or thought, I don't know, yeah, I'll have to check back that later. Yeah, maybe, and people just guess. I mean, people did that all the time back in, the early 2000s. So think about how much less of that now happens. Like, let me just ask ChatGPT. So for those things, that's great. I think that's needed. I think less misinformation will actually be skewed. Tangent there. But if you create individual lesson plans for education, and you're enhancing someone's ability to learn and test, and the kids don't feel so like in testing days, it feels like you make kids feel like they have to pass, or like if they don't pass, it's basically a fail and they're not given another chance. I'm drawing a blank on the word, but artificial intelligence can help kids actually be honest with their understanding, so that then they can better themselves. I think so many people just memorize something and dump it in and forget about it. Either they do that, or they fake the answer, or they cheat because they don't want to be looked at like they don't know. But when they're doing this with a model that is, is not having any type of emotional weight of connection, or judging the kid, there you go. I mean, that will literally advance kids' learning. So we'll go into that. Like I said, that'll be one of the probably biggest topics. How to set that up. I have a web app right now that allows my kids to do a similar topic too, like for example, coding. They have the same curriculum, but as they advance, one may continue on and one may wait. They may have diverging paths, depending on what they struggle with or what they lack in, and that's something I've created. So we'll go into those kind of things, and then any questions you have, post them in the comments. I'd like to know what are other people thinking of about using the technology for, what they might be missing, if anything I said didn't make sense or that I should definitely elaborate on sooner than later. Let me know. So thanks for watching, and let me add some of the topics. I'll try to add that to the screen. And to wrap up here, you'll see on my screen kind of some of the big topics I'll try to cover throughout the channel and videos. What is AI? A lot of kid version talks of that, plus adult topics, maybe a little more detail. But also to reiterate, the entire channel will be kid friendly, so there should be nothing that's said or done. A lot of the videos probably will be with my kids in there, so that should be something that you should feel safe on for this channel. We'll talk about using AI with games, like I already mentioned. Also sports, so sports analytics. So our kids were pretty big into soccer, basketball, tennis. So I'm looking into ways to not only record movements and those things, but also how it can auto-generate data. So that'll be pretty big. Might touch on some news, depending on what it is. And then the largest thing, sorry, my handwriting and everything is pretty bad. I'm trying out this new little pen marker. Educational uses is probably one of the biggest pluses here. A family dashboard, I've already created one, so we can talk about that. I'm sure many other people will be interested. I think one of the future things with artificial intelligence is that everyone will really have their own web app. So, pre-AI, computers and everything were a little more difficult to run and navigate and code, and that's why you had things like Facebook and other platforms. But I do believe there's going to be a future now where everyone pretty much runs their own, and I can show you that. Songs and video, I'll come back to devices. So local AI, we'll talk about how to run that, so keep everything private, secure. And then humanoids, that'll also be a huge thing, so another big one once I get my hands on one. That will be a major topic. And then to switch over to the devices, let me show you. Let's try to transition here with OBS. So here's a Rabbit device. So I've got that. So my camera just looked like it froze up on me. That I have already created like little mini games on it. Honestly, what it's really good at is that like kind of little mini uses, like you might make a little mini calculator or one of them is like a player selector tool. You can do that on the fly, as well as other things. So it's just a little pocket AI. I think it's a good use case for kids. And then the limitless pen, actually, I think it's purchased. I'm gonna say Meta bought them. Meta's been buying up a lot. Well, they try to buy Manus as well. I don't know if that's still going through. But this little pen, it is great. It's a voice recorder. It lasts pretty long. It Bluetooths to your computer, so everything is, or to your phone, so everything is sent there and transmitted, and then it's analyzed. So I do think there's a lot of use cases, especially when you're watching videos. I use it because when I watch a YouTube video, I like to have it stream my entire video, so that way I don't really have to put the video anywhere. I mean, you can do that. You can take the transcript, summarize it, put it into a database. That's all fine and dandy. I also like just messing with this. I let it listen to what I listen to, so it knows the day I listen to it. It auto summarizes. It auto keeps up with it. So, in a way, kind of like that second brain idea. There. Let me see. Yeah. So here's the Rabbit R1 little device, nifty little thing that you can use. And again, it's constantly getting updated. There's a lot of little back-end things you can do. So we might have videos on that. And then this was the little pen that I just talked about. All right, that's a wrap. See you next time.